Hey everyone, it's Matt C. So this is the second Driven Stories episode that I'm recording on my way to work, and it's the third time I tried to record it. I keep, for some reason, I thought it was smart to, try to record these things, even with just doing audio on the little thing that you can add to your USB that sticks out and can hold your phone. Right next to your keys so that they jingle like within inches of the phone every time you turn, and your face is 3 feet away from the phone. So turns out it's bad audio no matter how you slice it. So trying to record this third time. I think it's worth it recording it again because I care about this. It's something that I think is pretty important, and it's the idea of escapist storytelling. What is escapist storytelling? Why is it important? There's kind of two definitions, more of a negative definition and more of a positive one for escapism. the it's I can't even tell, like, escapism, like, growing up, like, I just thought escapism was meant to be negative. Somehow it sounds negative, like you're just running away from something, running away from your problems, running away from societal issues, kind of turning your brain off, kind of eating cheesecake for lunch. That's kind of what the negative definition is, like your brain isn't telling you to do it, your stomach is, and it's going to regret it later, your stomach is, but you're following your instincts and you're eating cheesecake for lunch. That's what I think the negative view of escapism is, especially escapist stories. Escapist stories in particular, because if you have a negative view of escapism, it's because you don't think problems are being addressed in real life, whether it's your personal problems or, usually societal problems that aren't being highlighted strongly enough for the people who don't like escapism. I think that's kind of what's going on. Escapism is about showing you a reality that is not reality, and I think that kind of bothers people sometimes because it feels like we're slowing down progress, perhaps. I don't know. I always try to figure that out. That's my sense, is that that's what's going on. But I think that's an inferior definition, not just because it's negative, but because the stories that are described as escapist, I don't think really fit this cheesecake for lunch model. There's a better definition. I obviously, there's some cheesecake for lunch kind of stories out there, I guess, as true escapism. That's I think you can one for one, like pornography. That's yeah, I said that word. That's escapist by definition, and I'd say that's inherently negative by definition. That's cheesecake for lunch. But a lot of the stories that people don't like for being escapist aren't actually. I don't think that they all fit that paradigm of just turning your brain off, going by animal instinct and not thinking through consequences, not having a goal. There's no intentionality to the story. Those are the things that you would expect to see more prevalent if escapist storytelling really was the negative stereotype, especially in the stories that people actually treasure and call escapist in a positive sense. That's a word that's kind of been reclaimed in the last couple of years, as there's been less escapist storytelling in film and video games and comics. Those are just kind of the three that I kind of watch. Probably in TV too, I guess. I think a bit to a lesser extent. And so people are kind of reclaiming the word and saying, actually, we like escapist storytelling. Yes, that's the word for these stories, but we have a different definition, and here's the positive one. So the positive definition, and this I think overlays much better with the stories that people are actually considering for escapism, and it explains why people like it, and it has capacity. It can explain, even the bad ones, and it helps explain why people who don't like escapist storytelling don't like it. So the positive definition, that's a superior definition for those reasons, is just quickly checking to make sure I'm recording. Okay, good. 5 minutes in, we're doing good. Escapist storytelling is actually there's the world that you live in right now, that's reality, and then there's for entertaining reasons, you have decided that you prefer to lose yourself for the duration of reading that story in an alternative world. And to the extent that it's alternative from yours, from the reality, and not just like a situational life, but the world itself, that's typically what's going on. The whole universe in the story is alternative in some way. It's different. It's not real. And you're liking it. You're enjoying being a part of that. That's fundamentally what escapism is. When you say it out loud, like I did, I think it's I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing to hear something that you heard in the 80s and 90s, and somehow we kind of forgot that was kind of definition, because it's so obvious, right? It incorporates all fantasy by definition and sci-fi, both genres that handle all kinds of subjects, including warning current culture. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's kind of my definition. There's a reality, and then there's an alternative reality within that story, and you are choosing to live within that alternative reality for a brief stint while you're watching or playing or reading or listening to that story. So why are these necessary and healthy escapist stories? So the stories in general inherently involve conflict. Otherwise, they're just reading the passenger instruction manual in your on your flight or something on a plane, or you're putting together an IKEA sort of furniture. Even those are stories, but they're not. They're only stories when people want to sound professorial. They're not. When people mean stories, they mean characters in conflict, seeking resolution, and it's a series of events that's leading to a conclusion, I guess, but through conflict and resolution. So escapist stories still have that. Do you think Lord of the Rings isn't escapist? It very much is, and it's very much healthy and a good thing to be reading that. Star Trek, I brought this up in the other two videos. Star Trek is absolutely escapist, and I think that's more obvious because it's a sci-fi story where there's people. Think about when Gene Roddenberry came up with Star Trek. It's in the age of Aquarius. A bunch of boomers. They're seeing a war-torn world full of a lot of conflict, religious turmoil, economic issues, all of the above. And they said, we want an escapist story. Why did they want that? Because they wanted to, check out and tune in or whatever. I don't think so at all. I think they wanted to see an alternative reality where the problems that they see in reality are addressed and fixed and behind us as a civilization, as a species, as a global human family, I guess. Love it or hate it, that's very much what Star Trek is about. Now, does that mean that the stories are free of conflict? No. I mean, every episode they're talking about societal issues, or just interpersonal up to and societal, that are inherent in today's culture, the culture of the time of writing it. But you got to have a goal. Like, basically what escapist stories do is they give you a goal for you to be, you're not just complaining um, about reality. You're not just picking a scab and talking about how much it hurts. You're taking the steps necessary to, you're learning about what helps things heal better. Maybe you're going outside of your comfort zone, and you're learning new things in order to apply them to yourself, so that you can heal. Uh, that's the metaphor. So that gets applied, interpersonally, just in your personal life, or all the way up to societal. Um, that's I think that's what we're doing with escapist storytelling. So it gives you a goal. You can see there's something wrong in reality, um, and oftentimes escapist storytelling are showing you what could be right. It shows you what's wrong, but it shows you how to fix it. What if we already fixed, you know, uh, wars and stuff like that, and religious conflict? That's the thesis. That's the hypothesis of. I don't know if either of those two work, but that's the subject that's being explored in Star Trek. And I don't know anyone who would say that was a bad thing, because you know, no one wants to live in a world with racism. So sometimes we watch TV and movies where zero humans are racist, have struggle with racist tendencies or something. The aliens are another matter. But the humans don't have that problem anymore, and that can kind of show you what life could be like if we work in it today in reality, or you just resolve things with your friends a bit more, that kind of thing. That's what escapist storytelling does. That's what it is, as far as I'm concerned. And if it's done healthily, I mean, if it's pointing out societal problems by showing a lack of them in some instances, so that you can see the discord between reality and the reality that you'd like to be in for the duration of the Star Trek episode. Or there's a lot of ways that they deal with them, but that's that's my kind of overview of what escapist storytelling actually is, what it does. You don't it doesn't preach usually, because we're seeing a reality where the preaching doesn't have to be necessary. So it's kind of inherent to the story itself. It's saying, hey, get your act together, I guess. Learn to be friendlier with others. I don't know. I keep circling around Star Trek. I'm not even a fan of Star Trek. But I'm painfully aware of how much of an impact it's had on culture. So I think, and I think it's been a good impact. It's inspired a lot of things, not just the technology, but yeah, it's inspired people to get along better. I think at least that's the goal and intent of Star Trek, and I think it hasn't left us without those gifts. So yeah, tell me what you think about this video. Tell me what you think about escapism and storytelling. I think it's a very good thing. I think I need to see alternative realities that don't have my problems, so I can see what I can refresh my desire for those issues to be resolved here. That's kind of what escapism often does. And anyway, there's more I could say about escapism, obviously. I'm just kind of drilling in to one sort of definitional aspect. But that's the video. Thanks for checking this out. Hopefully, I'm trying to do them every day, but audio concerns notwithstanding, they should be every day, at least every work day, and at least till the end of the campaign, and then I gotta figure out how to space things out better. But yep, this is it, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.